welcome to Gameography, the podcast about video games and the people who make them. I am Devin.
I'm Tim.
And we are continuing in our second episode to look at Shigeru Miyamoto's Gameography, moving to his later arcade games, since we covered his very first ones in the previous episode.
Yeah, we saw the young Miyamoto that to us now is almost unrecognizable, but in this coming episode now, we will see him start to blossom into the man we know and love today.
We will see Junior become the Kong.
I
don't know what that means. But in this episode, we'll be covering Donkey Kong Jr., the aforementioned Junior, and Donkey Kong 3, and finally Mario Bros.
Oh, yeah! And this is not Super Mario Bros,
no.
just to be clear
There's
for everyone.
There's nothing super about it.
It's the least super.
They're honestly very average.
Yeah. To say super would be a gross exaggeration.
They can't even jump on things and kill them.
Yeah.
Very average. Very unsuper.
Yeah. Yeah, I can jump. I could jump and hit a turtle.
I can jump in a sewer.
Yeah. I find this game too relatable, and that's why it's not super. So Donkey Kong Jr. is that Nintendo's immediate follow-up to the success of Donkey Kong?
Yeah. It's a sequel, yeah.
And I did feel like they improved on the original in notable ways.
Yeah. For me, I feel like I maybe still like the original Donkey Kong a little better. Like, so what's different is you're playing Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong's son, and the rules have been reversed. Mario has captured Donkey Kong, and you're trying to save your dad, which is just, it's great. Like that's. I feel like most other game designers would not have done that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
They would have just had Mario be they would have had essentially the same setup, but just kind of change it a little bit.
Yeah, actually, that is a very very creative way to just make the same, a very similar game feel kind of different.
Yeah. And also, I feel like because Miyamoto has said Donkey Kong is not a villain. He was just he's just out of control or misunderstood or something. So I feel like that has something to do with Miyamoto's outlook, where it's I don't know, there's nothing truly evil going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just these guys just have to go back and forth between Mario and Donkey Kong. They're both the villain and they're both the hero.
All right, we're playing Donkey Kong Jr. now.
So you play as Donkey Kong Jr. You can now climb up little vines and ropes and stuff. You can... Oh.
I love that sound effect.
I love the way, what he looks like when he dies. His eyes bug out. That is the best part. A notable thing, you go faster when you're holding two vines.
Yeah, it actually took me a little while to figure that out.
Yeah. So what I don't like about, what I feel has aged the worst for this game is I feel intuitively you would think you can jump between the vines, but you can't jump once you're on a vine. You just fall off. Wow, you're doing good.
Thank you. Yeah, I do wonder how much of that though is us looking at it with, our eyes attuned to modern video games.
Oh, definitely.
Immediately died. Although it would be more logical, being a monkey, that you could swing from vine to vine.
Yeah.
We do, though, just in that death I just went through, we get to one of the most notable parts of this game to me, which is the spring. What did you write about it? Do you remember?
Oh, I just wrote that it's is it maybe the first time there's a spring in a game?
Yep.
Where you can jump on it, it makes you jump higher.
Which has become, game over, essentially one of the defining factors of any platforming games you think of, with Mario or Sonic or other ones. This one I remember a lot more playing as a kid. I have a lot more nostalgia associated with this than the other.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. So one thing I noted is I thought this was different than it was, because I had a game on Game Boy. Oh boy. Called Game & Watch Gallery.
Oh, okay.
and that had Donkey Kong Jr. on it, but it was the Game & Watch version. Oh, press the wrong button. Which is like, have you seen any of those? It's like
I've seen them, but I don't know what.
they're like black and white for the most part. There's like a little bit of color, and it's like they look like Mr. Game & Watch, you know?
Yeah.
Where they're like that kind of weird animation. And I thought, obviously, I didn't think it looked like that, but I thought like even the game is different. Like,
Oh, really?
It's got like the same kind of mechanics of like like climbing on vines and stuff like that, but it's like you're not like these levels are not the same.
Yeah. I mean, this obviously couldn't quite work the same way using the like kind of light up little graphics.
Yeah, but so I was like a little disappointed because I remember liking that a lot, and I feel like I still like that better than this probably. But did you notice that if you drop the fruits onto an enemy, they die?
Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
classic.
Oh yeah.
Can I even make that?
This is a tough part. See, this spring level is so hard.
You got the bird
I died
dropping an egg
so
on
many
you.
times, and there's so many just like buggy little parts where if you jump on the platform the wrong way, you'll just fall.
No.
Oh, there you go. Kind of. It's also notable in this second level of Donkey Kong Jr. There's actually kind of multiple ways to solve it, which is, I think, the same in that first level, which I thought is like
that's definitely
a little bit
an innovation. I think though it's kind of there in the original where it's like, oh god, there's a like you could take different ladders, you know, but it's not quite the same. Yeah.
Overall, this game is
does this version
fun.
have the like after you get past this level,
which we will never do.
which we'll never do, does Mario get in a helicopter?
Oh, I did not see that. No.
So in the arcade version, he gets in a helicopter and like takes Donkey Kong, and then like it says like he flies to his like base or like lair or something like that. And then Donkey Kong Jr. follows with like a umbrella, like a parasol. He's like floating in the air after him.
Wow.
And then like you get, so the third level is this like weird like techno. Did you see that?
Techno?
It's like not the music, but like it's like all like purple and there's like fireballs like floating around and stuff. It like looks crazy. And
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, that level was really
and it's
weird.
like that is Mario's lair. is what they're saying. This.
Yeah.
Remember that? It's like neon pink.
Oh, you know what? I really didn't realize watching that meant that it was his lair.
Yeah, you probably didn't get the text in this version, but it says like Mario takes him to his lair.
Oh my gosh.
And then the final level is like you have to push up a bunch of keys up these chains.
Yeah, I do remember that. It was similar, like you noted, to the last level of the first Donkey Kong, where you've fully changed the way you're winning the level.
Exactly, yeah, which is interesting. And then after you release him, Donkey Kong falls down and Donkey Kong Jr. catches him.
Yeah, with a big old smile on his face, holding up his dad.
Yeah, it's the first time he smiles also, because like also every time you die, he like, or maybe not die, but like he just generally has a frown on his face. It looks like it's just like so sad.
Look at that.
His dad is captured.
Face. Yeah. Speaking of the music and sound, I thought I might share one of the most notable realizations I had in doing this research. So for all these arcade games, I believe starting at, I think with maybe even before Donkey Kong, with those early ones, we have Hirokazu Tanaka, otherwise known as Hip Tanaka for some reason. I don't know why he's called that. He is essentially Nintendo's sound guy and music guy. And for those of you out there who are big Nintendo music fans, you'll know Koji Kondo is the guy who wrote all the most notable songs for all the Mario and Zelda and tons of other games. He essentially is the pre-Koji Koji. So he comes in and he is making the sound effects for all these games, and he starts making the music at a certain point once they have more sophisticated music in the background. And he goes on to work. I think he's still involved in Nintendo. He made the soundtracks for Metroid, Kid Icarus, Duck Hunt, Earthbound, and Mother series, and the famous Tetris song, which this is the most shocking realization of this all is that that's not a song written.
Oh yeah, no.
It's
just a Russian song.
It's totally ripped off from a Russian song.
Yeah.
It's this practice that I feel like you can see. There's another example I can't think of off the top of my head where.
But Tetris is a Russian game.
It is?
Yeah, did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, it's like a Russian designer, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, there's like a million other versions of it, but yeah, Alexei Pajitnov is the creator of Tetris.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So that's weird that he's like credited as like maybe he like just like, you know, like transferred it to
I think
Nintendo's
that
hardware or whatever.
I think that
yeah.
I already forgot his name. Tanaka. I think that he essentially just arranged that old song on the, you know, the system, the NES, and that's why he got the credit for that. But that song, the melody is fully just taken from an old Russian song.
Does he did you like has he released music outside of games? Because on his Wikipedia page it says his genres are chiptune, dub, and reggae.
Yep. So yeah, he was like a career, you know, programmer, or he had gone to school for maybe electrical design or something, like, you know, something you'd expect for someone working in the video game world early on. But he ended up doing the sounds and essentially just being a musician on the side, and then he incorporated his own musical style into the early music of these games, which was dub. Which, and for those that don't know, I guess I don't know. I can't explain the exact origins of dub, but it's essentially a genre based on taking the B-sides of old reggae songs, where it'd be the instrumental, and looping that instrumental and adding effects and stuff, and it comes out to be a very vibey genre that's mostly just drums and bass and, like, you know, rhythm instruments, kind of like the early grandfather of like ambient music in certain ways. And so anyways, he, like, you can actually hear it in the Wrecking Ball or Wrecking Crew soundtrack. Yeah. That song is basically just like 8-bit dub.
That's crazy.
When if you hear it, like, knowing that, you wouldn't maybe notice that otherwise. But
yeah. Wow.
So he put he was doing really weird stuff with the music.
Is that so is his name Chip Tanaka? Is that where chiptunes come from?
It's Hip Tanaka.
Oh, it says here. Oh, also known as Chip Tanaka.
Well, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
maybe that is,
or maybe that's from chiptune or something like that. But anyway,
I'm gonna be talking about Koji Kondo in the next episode, so I wanted to cover Tanaka. Who
the hip in Hip Tanaka came from hip hop.
Really?
With his favorite artist of the genre being A Tribe Called Quest.
Yep. Oh, wow. I forget. He said that.
That's crazy. Wow.
I really like him now.
Yeah, that's great.
We can actually, do you want to move on now?
Sure.
So we can actually go to the first game that features his music as opposed to just his sound effects. So here we have Donkey Kong 3, the first game to actually feature Tanaka's music. And in my opinion, the worst of all these games that we tried out.
Really?
Probably my least favorite, yeah.
I actually kind of liked it.
Interesting.
Because it felt more like... It didn't feel as old to me, like in actual like controls and like the movement. Because like your guy... I don't know how it is on the NES version, but like your guy like moves around pretty quickly and like smooth. Like it felt very intuitive of like, okay, if I press up, he's gonna go to the next level up, and then like you just shoot and he like it shoots pretty fast. So, like there's no like it didn't feel like there's any like delay or anything.
That is true. Yeah, it is the quickest of them all for sure.
Yeah, like in like Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., like when you press jump, like there's like a little bit of delay still before he like actually jumps, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels like kind of old and slow. But it is very like simple.
Yeah. Here, you play it. I have notes. Yeah, I think that this one just felt like the actual gameplay was the least, you know, I don't know, intuitive or even just enjoyable for me. when it actually started the first time, I was completely confused because I thought it was like a opening little cutscene thing, and then I just died. So I didn't do anything. So you're basically in this whole game, it's the first one out of all these Donkey Kongs where you're not doing the jumping to go save someone thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it really loses me, is I don't understand it at all. You're just a guy with like a thing that shoots gas, and you're shooting gas upwards to get rid of bugs and also to shoo Donkey Kong up these vines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Who are you? That's not Mario.
Wow, that was very easy.
Yeah.
That definitely didn't happen in the arcade version. Like once you got the so there's like this like super like I don't know what it is. There's a power up that if you shoot Donkey Kong enough, he will drop sometimes, and in the arcade version, oh geez, you would lose it once you got to the next level. But it looks like you kept it.
Yeah, you keep this one for like a set amount of time.
Yeah,
which makes the second level really easy.
But yeah, so you play as Stanley the Bugman.
Stanley the Bugman.
That's his name.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently he's in other games. He's from like a Game & Watch game, which was also in that
Stanley.
In that Game & Watch collection I had for the Game Boy. Like that game, you're like in a greenhouse and you're trying to, similar to this, like you're trying to protect your flowers.
Yeah.
But in that one, you're like moving around the greenhouse because they're like coming from all directions, and you have to like go, like if it comes from like the bottom right corner, you have to go over there and then like shoot it. But it's not as like action-y as this, I guess. But it's the same kind of concept. Just there's no Donkey Kong in that, because in this you're trying to, shoot Donkey Kong up, and then these other like bugs will kind of come and get in the way, essentially, and that's pretty much it. I think you lose if they steal all your flowers as well.
Yeah.
But you also just die if they hit you.
Which they will hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. This game was interesting, but ultimately just a little frustrating and weird.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the desire to play much of it.
Yeah, I feel like the big difference is, well, one, it like kind of comes out of nowhere, like you said. It's like, who is this guy? Yeah. And then it's like, it doesn't also like have any of the story of the other ones. Like the other ones, like
not
at
the
least
rich
had like,
narrative.
They at least had like a little bit of like text or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, actually the NES version didn't have it, but in the arcade version of Donkey Kong Jr., you see, like when you start, you see Donkey Kong in a cage, and then Mario like pushing him off screen, and then it says like, wait, I actually wrote down the quote because it's great. Get key from Mario, save your papa. And then the game starts. So there's like a little bit of instruction, and it's like, okay, I know what my goal is.
Yeah.
And this, like, there's nothing. And then there's like, it's the same kind of thing where it's like, I think there's only 3 levels in this, and then it starts looping. But it's like, there's not even like an end, like in the other ones where like Donkey Kong dies or like, like crashes or you save him.
Yeah.
Like it just, nothing happens.
Yeah.
There's no like story. There's no like,
no context for this.
There's nothing to like latch onto.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like you just kind of play it and either have fun or you don't.
Yeah, and that's probably why. I don't know how this did like commercially, but
I don't think very well.
Yeah. It's like it's fine, but it's just
It also coincided with the video game crash of 1983.
Wow.
Yeah, so that at least in America, I don't think there was a crash in Japan, but in America there was like a big crash.
Or people just thought that video games wouldn't be a thing anymore because no one was making any good ones. But
there's also like no information about this game online that I could find really.
Really?
There's I couldn't find any interviews where it's mentioned. There's like so little information. I couldn't find like any like articles. I found one YouTube video where it was like the history of Donkey Kong 3, like the forgotten game, but it's like he doesn't know anything either. It's like I watched it and I was like, okay, I didn't learn anything. It was just like the most basic information is basically all he had.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe Miyazaki wasn't actually as involved in this as we...
Miyazaki?
Oh, wow. Freudian slip. Miyamoto.
Yeah. I think he was, but like, I think he probably kind of like disowns it probably and doesn't talk about it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, I mean, it's also, I think just no one else talks about it. So makes sense. And the same year, he also released Super Mario Bros. So why would you talk about this when you could talk about that? Are you ready?
Yeah, we are playing Mario Bros. Now. We're going to be doing 2-player for the first time in this podcast. Oh boy, I'm Luigi. Who's in a? Are we on the same team?
I believe so. I think it's just
Wow.
I believe it's just like whoever can get the most points, but it's basically like we're on the same team. Oh no!
I'm a wiener. Oh, you just blocked me.
God.
Wow.
Wow, I'm dead
You're
already.
bad at this.
Yeah,
Wow, I'm doing so much better than Devin.
just from not dying. I got more points than you. Oh, not anymore.
How you have
I don't know how our
You
point
have 20
discrepancy
points.
is so different.
because I did everything.
I killed 2 of them.
No,
You
I killed them.
Oh, wait, really?
Okay.
God.
Okay. If you could let me do my job here. Okay. Oh boy.
So the sound effects are better, and I feel like one thing with all of these games is that like the sound effects are, at least in the arcade versions, like very hard to listen to. Like the sound
Yeah.
effect of Mario running is just like it's like this but worse.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
this
that
isn't
is
that
fair.
bad. One thing that's, again, this is only because we've played other games, specifically other Mario games, but it's like the first thing I did when I loaded this up was try to jump on top of an enemy to kill
Yeah.
it, and then that kills you. Oh,
Yeah.
which is just bizarre, like, to me. That's like, but the only way you can, and it's not in this version, but in the arcade version, there's actually a little like thing before you start playing that says like, this is how you play essentially, and it shows there's like a little cutscene of Mario jumping up and hitting underneath where a turtle is. It says, like, it's like first like hit them from below and then like kick them, and then you start playing. And then it does the same thing actually for the crab guys. It says like hit them once and they become angry, and then hit them again to kill them.
Oh, well, you don't even get to play the what I found to be one of the most notable parts, which is the time trial to get all the coins.
The bonus like level basically.
Yeah, which is just so specifically something that's been in like every Mario game ever since.
Yeah.
A staple
Has, like-
of the Mario world is
Yeah, a little mini game that has you collect. Yeah, exactly.
coins in a time. I mean, that's like in 64. That's in all of the ones after that.
Yeah.
And you have like the little time trial things. I also like that in this 2-player mode, you died, so now I'm just playing by myself.
Yeah. Oh,
And now I died. So,
you got one more life, but
oh my gosh.
I can talk about the making of this a little bit. So, like, this is the first game where Mario is a plumber, because in Donkey Kong he's actually a carpenter, which is what Miyamoto decided. Oh wow, you turned him back to red?
Yeah, baby, I'm a pro at this.
It's crazy. Because Miyamoto wanted to have like the pipes motifs
Yeah.
and have the enemies coming out of pipes, and he pictured it as being the sewers of New York, apparently.
Oh.
So that is where the pipes come from. And then he was like, well, so if they're down in the sewers, then they must be plumbers, is essentially how that happened.
And crabs and fireballs.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So I want to point out that I got about 8,000 more points than you on that run.
Wow.
But it was close. So this is my favorite game of these, without a
Really?
doubt. Yep.
Wow.
I definitely like this is the one that I played the most. I got
Wow.
fairly far with cheating.
Yeah, to me, this one felt like one of the weaker ones because, like,
Interesting.
like Donkey Kong 3, like there's no real like story or like
That is true, yeah.
context of what's even happening. It's just like you're there,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems more like kind of like the more classic style of arcade game where it's just like a repetitive thing to try and get as many points as you can, and it
Yeah.
keeps getting harder,
Yeah, that is fair.
as opposed to like the Donkey Kong style where it's like, you know, each level is like its own thing a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like you have a goal that you're trying to get to.
Yeah, this is an endless loop of this, of like
Mhm.
a kind of just like meaningless little game, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think that it just, there's so much of what would become Mario in this that I find it incredible. Like even
Yeah, I
even the way
guess.
that I noted the way that Mario will like run and then stop and like turn back the other direction. It's very similar
Like
to
the
how
animation?
in the 3D ones you can stop in your tracks and then, you know.
yeah, definitely. I think they were getting better at like just like the movement and stuff,
Yeah.
like getting that down right.
Yeah.
What I did notice is like if you hit jump when you're not already moving, you can't, like, you just go straight up.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And that like really messed me up a couple times because
Yeah.
like they made it a lot more like forgiving and like fake, I guess.
Yeah.
The further Mario went on.
Yeah.
And that's actually another thing, like, so we haven't talked about this guy at all, but Gunpei Yokoi.
Okay, I have
Was-
no idea who that is.
So he's known as like Miyamoto's mentor, kind of.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's the guy who invented the Game and Watch
Wow, okay.
and like a bunch of other stuff at Nintendo, I think. But so he was kind of a part of like the design process for Donkey Kong, but then also this game, and he's the one who gave Miyamoto, like, told Miyamoto to do a bunch of things that were kind of like against his instincts. So he said like Mario shouldn't die if he falls from like a
Okay.
a far place.
Yeah.
Because it'll like be more fun essentially. But Miyamoto's like, well, that's not realistic. And then he's also the one who suggested that like the way you would kill the enemies is jumping up from below and hitting
Yeah.
like the thing and turning
Yeah,
them over.
The platform, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think Miyamoto changed it so that you had to do that and then also go up and hit them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I think I don't remember what his contribution was to Donkey Kong, but he's like kind of Miyamoto's design partner in a way, I would say. But I feel like I didn't know who he was. I'd never heard of him before like researching any of this. So it's kind of interesting that like
Interesting.
he's not remembered the way Miyamoto is.
Yeah, that is funny. I guess just because of the limited amount of things he was able to do this early on in Nintendo.
Yeah. Like it was definitely like to me the most graphically advanced.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like the way that like the floor like kind of like undulates weirdly when you hit it. Like
yeah.
that seems like that would not be easy to do.
Yeah.
Like
for
just
sure.
like thinking about how like sprites work and stuff. It's like, how did they even do that? Like
Yeah.
that's just like a weird technical thing
Yeah.
that they somehow figured out, which I feel like is just like a lot of what they're probably like trying to do.
Yeah.
Just like Miyamoto or somebody like coming up with a crazy idea and then them being like, okay, like we'll see. Like I don't know if we can do that.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, there was a passage in maybe your notes
mhm.
or something about the way that the early games were written. No, I think it was when I was reading about Tanaka,
Mhm.
Tanaka, the guy who made the sounds. I remember him saying that early on in like this era of Nintendo, it was very few people, and they were all just kind of like
Yeah.
a modular group of people who would spend like 20 hours. No, that can't be possible. Like 15 hours a day working on stuff like deep into the night just because they're having so much fun, and that a lot
Yeah.
of it was just playing around and troubleshooting and like trying to come up with things in a very experimental way. So I think the way you're describing it is actually probably correct.
Mhm. That reminds me. So like there was not very many people, but then like the amount of money that like Donkey Kong in particular is the only one that I really like feel like I saw the actual figures for, or like that was in the Wikipedia article. But it was like it made millions and millions. Like I think it made like $200
Wow.
million
Oh
the
my
first year it was out or
gosh.
something, which is just like so insane. I feel like even like big games now are like
Yeah, like that would be
that's like a
lot.
really that's like a really popular game now, which is insane. It's like I don't even understand how that could be possible.
Well, do you want to like just have a conclusion here?
Yeah.
Talk about Miyamoto in general.
Yeah, let's talk about just like just Miyamoto in general.
So what have we learned?
His arcade days.
Yeah, I think that you can actually really just see the trajectory of Miyamoto very clearly in this first like chapter of his career, where he comes in with a non-programming mindset, changes a ton of things immediately in his like first couple of games that he makes.
A more like visual storytelling kind of like mindset rather than like even it's interesting because like in other interviews and stuff he talks about how he doesn't like cutscenes in games and stuff like that.
Oh, that's funny.
Like he doesn't like games that like make you watch something before you start playing.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't have that much time to play games anymore. Like if I have to like watch something for a few minutes before I start playing, then I don't have as much time to play.
Which is a good point.
Yeah. But it's like he in a way kind of like started that trend because it's like especially
how
in the
high
arcade.
can you get?
Yeah, and then in the arcade version, before you start playing every single time, because I had to watch it so many times because I died so many times, is you watch Donkey Kong climb up the tower and then he like jumps and like a bunch of times that makes because like originally the girders are flat and every time he jumps, they go, grr, 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 grr.
I can't believe I didn't realize that wasn't in the Switch because that's a classic intro.
Yeah. So like he basically had like one of the first cutscenes in his game.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Of course, I think it changes once you go past those couple seconds it takes.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of times with, directors and authors and stuff, you try and think about like where in this person's like life could this have come from,
Yeah.
It is kind of hard with these games in particular, I feel like, to really draw any like of those kind of besides like like the kind of things he was influenced by, like King Kong and stuff probably and like movies and manga. But yeah,
I mean I think you have to, because this is the very early days of video games as a whole. I think you have to take it as like he was trying to make a product essentially. It was just meeting the requirements of what it meant to be a successful video game. And so there's only so much of himself that he's actually putting into it, which then makes it more notable how distinct his style kind of is. Even in this, he
is obviously like kind of obsessed with that like saving a girl that like kind of fantasy like of like Princess Peach getting stolen or whatever, and
he
then
really never gets off that.
He really doesn't. Like, and then you having to go save her, and then like happily ever after or whatever. Like none of his games are like where Mario and Peach or like Mario and whoever are like already together. You know what I mean? It's like they're always apart and they can never be together. So
I wonder how much of that is just because that's such a common motif in like fairy tales or any kind of like storytelling that he would have been exposed to. But also why that maybe appealed to him personally.
I feel like it's like a psychological, almost like Freudian like kind of like construct and like literature and stuff of like the woman who like you can never like be with. So I feel like there's probably something like psychologically going on
that's
there.
really funny.
But but also it obviously is just like a very clear and like easy to understand. Like you don't need to like really to set it up. It's like you don't need like text to set it up really. It's just like you see that going on and you know what you have to do, which maybe says like more about our culture than
I mean this is one of the most kind of common archetypical stories you could possibly tell in any form of media. So maybe part of it is the ease of understanding of that, where you see that premise just through Donkey Kong is a big scary monkey holding the girl, and so okay, I have to go save this girl. Because it's appealing to that thing in everyone's psychology.
And it's like it is like I think part of the reason why like some of those like these other games that don't have that story element is like it is like as video games as like a fantasy, like power fantasy kind of thing, which is like one way to look at video games. It's like that is like an appealing fantasy of like I'm gonna save
For
this
sure,
person
Yeah.
and they're gonna love me or whatever. Like
Yeah. Well, that concludes the arcade saga of Shigeru Miyamoto-san's epic career.
we saw him go from a boy climbing in caves to make programming a monkey climbing on vines.
and that's only the beginning.
Truly only the beginning.
Truly.
Because in the next episode, the Nintendo itself, the NES and the Famicom in Japan come out, and his first console games are what we're covering in the next episode.
You won't believe how high he can climb.
You won't believe how blasphemous he can get.
Oh. If you're satanic, you might want to start to panic because this next episode is going to be right up your
devil alley or whatever they call it in that game. Devil Hall.
Devil Hall, right?
Yeah.
Listen, this is going to be right up your Devil Hall if you're into that kind of thing.
So the games will be Devil World, and Excite Bike if you're trying to play along.
So I hope that excites you. We'll see you next time on Gameography.
Bye bye.